evening. I'm here, my name is Susan Morgans, and I live on South Hancock Street in Wilkes Barre. I own 2 properties in Wilkes Barre. Never miss paying our taxes on either property. And we've had an issue with an apartment building that Councilman Lavelle has brought up when we first came here. And it's approximately 50 feet from our home. And in order to see the future, like the present, the problems with 69 South Hancock, the apartment building, you have to know a little bit about the past. In the past, there was an owner from, I believe, what Middle Eastern country who was not permitted to return to his visa was revoked. And during the time that he owned that building, it was referred to as the Red Brick Building. We dealt with prostitution, drug dealing, fires. It was horrendous. Finally, the building went up for tax sale. When it went up for tax sale, it was sold to an out-of-town landlord from New York. Since he has had that property, there's been 911 calls, some of them for loud noise and parties that the landlord had, where this went on until 2 o'clock in the morning, and we had to put up with there's people urinating in full view of our windows out right out near the street. We have, let me see, loud noise parties, urination, domestic fights. One of the tenants constantly having domestic fights, allowing her children to run around a 2nd-story roof. Police were called on that incident, so they were also called because he continued to park cars literally on the sidewalk, blocking any of us from having use on the sidewalk. And then threatening me for calling the city code department, as he held a 4-foot-long metal pipe in his hand and said if I ever called the city code department again, see what happens to me. Again, 911 was called. And then handicap parking issues. And the handicap parking issues are also now present. I just am recovering from my 7th major surgery. I have handicap parking there and have had handicap parking there. What has gone on, and I have questioned and called City Hall over concerns of what would happen to that building because it directly affects us and our family. It has in the past, and it is happening in the future. Every time that I call or come in, or my husband has gone to City Hall, down to the code unit for the permit and asked questions, there are people that help us and people who are very rude and ignorant. All these problems we have brought up in sincerity, not against anybody, because of true concern. We watched this entire building be renovated. Never saw, the only permit we saw was an expired permit. At the time, back in 2000, we kept telling what we were saying, are there supposed to be permits or aren't there? When we called as people moved in and out, were there rental inspections? We were informed no. We came down by phone. I always follow up and come in person. I came in person and I looked at these permits. No permits were issued. But we would see the moving vans come and go, the people in and out. And then around September of last year, really amped it up. This is when the problems that we saw were coming, because we had new windows put in our home. We were required to have permits. Within 3 weeks, the windows came out of the brick building, no permits, but old permits from 2009 were up there. So we called. I said, I don't understand why. Oh, we'll send somebody up, or we're too busy, or we can't come there, or We drove by, we see nothing going on, yet all the new stickers, and I said, I have a question. Were there permits drawn? No. I went to City Hall and asked again, were there permits? Joanne pulled up on the computer, no permits. So I questioned why. Then a fence was being installed with approximately 32 feet of concrete retaining wall with a fence. We had our fence put up. We were required to have a permit. We again went to City Hall and we called and we inquired. They said, oh, they did. They took a drive-by. They saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was surprised because what they say was nothing as we took pictures of it being installed. So in September of last year, my gripe would be with the code office. First of all, I'd like to thank Maureen Lavelle for being the only person in my letter that I went to her for help last September, who after what happened of my reporting and my questioning, I was told that Fred Pape would no longer listen, that everything had to be referred to Mike Simonson.
We're gonna ask you to stand up and we'll talk about it.
Okay, and then Mike Simonson, what happened, he threatened me. He told me he would call the police if I called again on this property, that he would have the police file charges against me. I was so distraught, I didn't speak to him for a year, until what happened on September 11th this year. On September 11th, we were blocked in by car and wood and everything else coming in. Construction going on, so we called the city again. I've been receiving the emails, and they can look at them, that went through the city, that Mark Murphy claims that he drove by the exact. I stopped at 69 South Hancock this afternoon and didn't see any evidence of any work being done. This is what happens to us for the last couple years. I'm almost done. Here's the pictures, and it's gone further than that. I just need to tell you what we have seen. This landlord has informed neighbors that he is rebuilding the illegal apartment that was in the basement, and it was closed up years ago. We have watched as tons and tons of dirt, debris, brick and everything went out. We watched as plumbing, electric, drywall, paint, spackle went in, and literally watched
I'm gonna stop you there. I know we've got way over. I know the mayor is.
Okay, and I just said, I just don't feel like being disrespected by the city and being threatened because we have legitimate concerns. And about the parking,
Can we arrange a meeting?
they take my parking all the time, my handicap parking, and I can't get into my handicap parking.
Can you meet the mayor's staff outside? I'd like to speak further about all of this.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank
And not everybody out there, but thank Mr. Kratz for helping us out. And thank you, Maureen Lavelle, for helping me.
Meet you right outside.